April is readathon month. That is right, we're getting to go back to Aurelium Academy for the spring equinox in our April TBRs. The Magical Readathon was created by G over at Bookroast, and I will have her video talking about how to start in the Magical Readathon linked down below if you've never heard of it or tried. I highly recommend it. It is so much fun. There's a whole Discord server dedicated just to the Magical Readathon. You can pick whichever calling you wish to do in this magical land. Like I myself am studying to be a scribe. This is my 3rd year, so I think that makes me an adept. And I'm very excited. There's 5 classes I have to complete in April to be able to move on to the August autumn equinox. I'm Morgan. If this is your first time here, I hope you enjoy this second take at filming this video. The first book we'll talk about is kind of covering multiple things. This is the book for restoration, which we're studying uncommon antidotes, and the prompt itself was to get a book with a 4+ star rating. And this works out because so many people talk about reading it. I've been wanting to read it, and you know, we've all been seeing it everywhere. It's pulling double lifting though, because for the Year in Aurelia challenge, which is just little monthly book challenges where you just pick one book in that month to help you, think of something else to read that month. If you're just in the game mood, I don't know how to describe that. The one I needed though for this month is the author has a W in the name. And also, this is part of a buddy read with Shelly at Shell Space on her Discord server. They were talking about reading it, and I'm like, oh, I want to, but I don't think I can fit it anywhere. But now it fits perfectly. Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong. So excited. And this is also a dark magical academia. Dark academia? Maybe not dark academia, but magical, as the first female ever has been accepted into the magical society, academy. She's worked her whole life though to get to this point, but they're still going to look down on her and put her down because they don't, want to accept the females, and they give her a janitor for her assistant. And while they don't get along very well at first, they do end up discovering something that will cause a rift and a shift. So I'm very excited to get to Blood Over Brighthaven, and it's a standalone. That gives it bonus points. So very, very excited, and it feels perfect to read during the readathon since it deals with a magical academy. And everybody has been loving it. This is my first book by this author though, so I didn't read The Sword of Kaigen. I debated it, but I did not. And I was never, I don't know, still not entirely sure. But this one sounds exciting at least. The next subject would be elemental studies, and this is, we're studying earth magic, and it's fruits and specifically. So the prompt was to find a book with fruit on the cover. I really wanted to go with things I already owned or that I needed to read, but I have nothing with a fruit on the cover that I have not already read. I think there's only 2 books in my whole thing, maybe 3, and I've already read them. And readathon month doesn't seem like a good month for rereads. I don't know why. So it was recommended to me by Mandy in our Discord that A Taste of Poison, it's a Snow White retelling, part of the Entangled with the Fae series by Tessonja Oldet. I'm very sorry, I can't say that. Is a Snow White retelling, and it has an apple on the cover. And while reading its description, I realized I don't think I've ever read a Snow White retelling, like not directly Snow White. Maybe a little Snow White mixed in with other things, but not directly Snow White. A runaway princess wanted for murder, a deadly huntsman who's after her heart. Half Fae Asher Snow is used to being disliked. With magic that makes her mirror back one's worst qualities, she has more enemies than friends. And when she's accused of poisoning her father, her stepmother, the formidable Spring Queen, becomes her greatest enemy yet. Forced into hiding, she finds solace at the Seven Sins Hotel. It provides the perfect subterfuge she needs, for who could ever find an outlaw in a hotel famed for sin? And the huntsman is apparently a bear shifter who's lost everything to gambling halls, and to pay off his debts, he serves the Fae royals as their personal huntsman, locating hard-to-find fugitives with his scent-based magic. When the Spring Queen offers him a bargain that will erase his debts for good, he's willing to do what it takes, even if it means finding the Queen's runaway stepdaughter and cutting out her heart. But as I think this is a romantasy, obviously, that's not gonna work. They're gonna fall for each other in some manner. of speaking. For our inscription class, we are studying The Hook. And in this one, you were supposed to read the first sentence of 3 books and then pick which one hooks you in the most. I did something a little bit different for this though, as I was also doing the Quick to Judge challenge, where I had to read the first paragraph of several books. So I read the first paragraph of 6 books and asked you guys to vote in the comments which one you wanted to see me read. And the winner was The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This book though is following 2 characters who were never supposed to meet, who were kind of ignored by the world. But that's all about to change, as the boy has lived his whole life trapped within a book-choked chamber older than empires and larger than cities. The girl has spent hers in a tiny settlement out on the Dest, where nightmares stalk and no one goes. And the first line, just to give you a taste, the first line, actually I have to read you the first 2 because it only works like that, of the prologue. The first arrow hit a child. That was the opening line. How could he start a book like that? Like, really? Really? So we will be reading this one for inscription. And since the trilogy is almost complete, that's exciting. And if I like it, I'll go ahead and, the next month read the next one and then the next one. In lore, we're doing the Song of Ages. And this one, while seeming so easy, was also the kind of trickiest one. Because you were supposed to find a book with a musical term. Yes, a musical term in the title. So there's so many possibilities. Unfortunately, none of them really sounded quite like books I wanted to read. And that's what I wanted to get, a book that I actually wanted to read, not just grab something because it had a musical term in the title. And there should have been so many possibilities. You would think. I even tried to look for mangas, which that was actually even harder. Maybe I just couldn't type the search terms right. So for this one, I'm just going to use a scroll of replacement to get a book that I know I need to get to in there. And that's going to be The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah. I don't know why there was such a pause when I was saying the title there. My brain skipped, I don't know. This is the sequel though to The Stardust Thief that came out 2 years ago that I enjoyed. And I don't quite remember anymore what it was that I didn't like about it. Because it's not that I didn't like it, it's just there was something I thought was missing. And I don't even remember what that is anymore. But the world building was super exciting. The way it mixed in the, they're not fairy tales, but it's not quite the 1001 Nights tales either. They're twists on it because it's inspired by 1001 Nights. Because we are following Luli Al-Nazar, also known as the Midnight Merchant, because her and her friend / bodyguard, who is a djinn, find and sell magical items, which is highly illegal. Super illegal where they live. But she ends up saving a young prince, well, one of the younger prince's lives. I think he's one of 3 princes. She saves his life, so the Sultan recognizes her, and while she's trying to play it off, he really recognizes her, blackmails her into doing the thing to find a lamp, a magical item for him specifically, and they must go off on a quest. So we're traveling for a good portion of this story. There's so much things worked in. I kind of also wish I had time to reread the first book before diving into this one to fully remember. The first book was her debut novel, so I think that's where I felt something that I wanted her to bring more to the second one, maybe with the world building. There's a twist at the end. There's a twist at the end of The Stardust Thief. I still don't entirely remember. The final class I need this semester is Spells and Incantations, and we're studying the copy-paste spell. Thus, the prompt is to pick a book that has one of the words from the last book you were reading, the book you're reading while you're making your TBR. The book you pick has to have a word that's also in that title you were currently reading. I was reading Death's End at that point in time, so this one actually stood out. It's perfect because it's been on 2 TBRs now that it has not happened. But we're going to read An Easy Death by Charlaine Harris. It's going to happen. This is a tiny book. I also have the audio accompaniment. How is it that I still have not managed to read this book? I don't know. This one is in an alternate United States though, or fractured United States, where magic is acknowledged but mistrusted, and we're following our main character, Gunny Rose, as she has been hired to help out two wizards who are looking for a specific person that they believe can save their czar's life. And then I think there's a ball. There's like 7 books in this series so far. And it's blurbed as an extraordinary thriller. So urban, fantasy, magical thriller. Those are all the books that I picked for my classes officially. Even with the scroller replacement, to get one that has nothing to do with the prompt. I will also reserve the right to swap any of them out with a manga. If I'm crunched on time and don't think I can complete my classes, that is how I will complete one. I made a table to show my guild points because at the beginning of the year, I have no idea how many I actually had. I just colored in the thing a little bit from last year. So now I have a table that I'm going to keep track of them and know how many I have. So I have enough at least to get another scroll if absolutely needed. Do I have to get a scroll though to change out a book that I said I was going to read? Probably. I think that's how it has to work. Either way, I would love to know what you guys are going to be reading in April though. If you're participating in Magical Readathon, you can let me know what your class is calling is going to be and which books you're hoping to read. And even if you're not, feel free to read along with any of these or just let me know how your reading is going, what books you're most excited to get to. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today. You're going to stick around for more videos coming out next month following along the Magical Readathon, and I'll see you in the next one.